following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin.
So where do you find love? Where do we go, Gabby, to find love these days? I mean, it's like online dating, and a lot of people don't just know where to go. And there's so much with catfishing and scammers and drama. You know, you don't know if someone's intent is right or what. So a lot of people turn to matchmakers, or if you don't know, we suggest you turn to a matchmaker. I think a great or the right matchmaker would be a great way to go because, you know, with a matchmaker, they have a roster of people that they have vetted who are there for the same reasons you are. And if they're not, if they're there for other reasons, your matchmaker knows, right? I mean, every time I say matchmaker, I hear that song, Matchmaker, Matchmaker, make me a match.
Fiddler on the Roof, baby.
Well, with COVID these days, how do you date? What do you do? Today, we're going to talk about the difference between dating sites and matchmakers and how to find the right matchmaker for you, because there are bad matchmakers. And, how has COVID affected dating and how we can make the best of it. So I'm Christine. I'm your host.
And I'm Gabby.
Gabby.
Woo-hoo!
Gabby's here looking beautiful as ever.
Oh, stop it. Keep going.
Well, I will. This is 50 Shades of Bullshit. And today, Gabby, I'm super excited because we're talking to this incredible matchmaker.
So excited.
And I just want to kind of tell a little story about my matchmaking experience. I found a matchmaker here in LA 5 years ago, and there wasn't a lot of options back then. And unfortunately, I didn't know the difference between a good and bad matchmaker. And I needed Paula at that time. Paula's our guest today.
I didn't know you've done a matchmaking.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I paid a shit ton of money to be with a matchmaking company who failed me. So I have to tell you about a couple of my experiences.
Tell me.
This matchmaking company tells me that they vet everybody, that all the men are either homeowners and business owners, or they're executives and they've got their life on track, and that they're looking for wives, and they want real relationships and things like this, right? So, and that they've screened them all. We're not allowed to see anybody's picture. They match us blindly. We go on blind dates, which was kind of exciting, right? I thought it was kind of exciting. So it turns out every single person they matched me with did not have their own home, didn't own a business, weren't like high executives. Some of them were artists. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an artist. That's great. But we're talking starving artists who had not a pot to piss with. How they paid for a matchmaker, I have no idea. It was crazy. So no one that I ever went out with was near wanting to be in a relationship except for one guy. But I have to tell you about this. So the first person they tried to match me with was a Baptist youth minister. Now, for anybody else, that would be fine. But come on. I'm not the right person for anybody religious. I am not religious. So, that did not work for me.
You could have been the preacher's wife.
Right?
No.
Now, they also were matching me with men who were older than me. And that, I'm not talking about a year or two, Gabby. I'm talking about 10 plus years. And I'm sorry, but you start getting into men who are in their 60s, they're not going to look like they're anything but my dad. And that's all I saw them at, was like men who look like my dad. And so that clearly wasn't for me. Then they matched me with this guy who was a Navy vet, which I was actually quite excited about because my granddad was in the Navy, and hands off to everybody out there protecting our country. And I was excited until I met him. And he had PTSD, some serious PTSD. We're talking within a minute of talking with him, I knew how severe his PTSD was. And he said to me, "You're too much for me." And I clearly was way too much for him. He said he needed a very quiet life with a very quiet person.
That's not you.
That's not me. I'm clearly not a quiet person. But the straw that broke the camel's back for me with this company was they matched me up with this guy who did own a company. Okay.
Sure.
He ran his father's jewelry business. And I was like, okay, I could take that. I'm good with that. No man's ever gave me jewelry. So this is exciting, right?
Right.
So we're dating about 3 weeks, and it's going pretty good. He's really cute. He's Jewish, he's of your kind. I love your people. And I tell him we are going on a trip to Vegas so I can take my daughter to this modeling gig. And he invited himself to come along. And he buys his ticket and gets on the same flight as us. And he insists on taking us to the airport. Insists. And we get there late because he's late. And we missed our flight. And that airline was only flying that last flight that day. We couldn't get there until the next day. And we were going to miss the audition. And I'd already spent a lot of money for my daughter to go to this audition.
Yeah.
And, I modeled for years, and I really support anything that my daughters do, and especially in the modeling world. I loved it. So I had to quickly find another airline that we could fly to Vegas within the hour or so. So I find an airline, and he tells me, "So if you buy my ticket for me, I'll pay you back."
No.
And I felt so much pressure that, me, I'm going to say, of course. Yeah. So I buy his ticket and we fly to Vegas, and I'm paying for all the lifts. I'm paying for all the Ubers. He kept saying, "It's not working on my phone. It's not working on my phone." He went with us to the grocery store because I have a timeshare there. So we were staying in my timeshare, and it has a kitchen. And he walks up with all this stuff and all this booze, puts it down on the conveyor belt, and walks out and makes me pay for it. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to get through this weekend. He lays by the pool all day long, every day we're there, and orders food and orders drinks and puts it on the room tab, and never paid me back. So now we're he owes me a good $500-600 for the weekend. And I'm like, whatever. So I tell him, "Look, I can't see you anymore. I just can't. You're not the right guy for me." So he proceeds to start sending me invoices. Invoices, dude. With everything I bought him or paid for him, he wrote as his invoice for me to pay him. He said he paid for it all. And then he was sending me voicemails and emails, and he was blowing up my phone. So I called the matchmaker and I said, "You have got to make this guy stop. You have got to tell him he cannot keep doing this." And she says to me, I'm sorry, it's out of my hands. There's nothing I can do." And I said, "Bitch, you're going to fucking call him, and you're going to tell him to stop calling me, or I am going to sue you for matching me with a fucking psycho." And guess what? It stopped. Funny how that works, right? So, Gabby, have you ever tried a matchmaker?
I have never tried a matchmaker. I've watched, those shows, Millionaire Matchmaker on
Oh,
TV, and I've
I
also
I love
I've
that
been
show.
so close to like signing up for like Married at First Sight because I figured I'm doing a bang up job myself. Might as well
I
see if I
want to
can
do
have
that show.
professionals like, fuck up my
Right?
life for me.
I know. I
But
love it.
considering how much money over the years I've spent on dating sites, I probably should have gone the matchmaker route.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel the same way. I'm all about that show, Married at First Sight. It's my favorite show. I laugh my ass off and I root for these people. It's amazing. It, I I think, maybe I should try again and try a different one. It's just so hard. So our guest today, she's this amazing woman. She lives out of Virginia and she's got a matchmaking company in DC and Virginia. And she is going to tell us how to find the right matchmaker. So I'm super excited. Her company is called Bloom Matchmaking, where love grows. Oh, how fucking cute is that?
I'm taking
Let's
notes, man. I'm
I
literally going to be writing down
I
all this
too. I'm
information.
actually I'm actually doing that. I'm setting my thing up to take notes. Okay, so let's welcome our matchmaker. Her name is Paula Pardel. Hey, Paula.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so cute. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready for a new year, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm so ready for a new year. So, Paula, tell us a little about yourself. How did you get into matchmaking?
You know what? It's funny. I've always sort of been a matchmaker throughout my life.
Really?
I've just always enjoyed putting people together, and I
Oh,
never thought it could be a profession. And
right.
I was a stay-at-home mom. I've done many different things throughout my life, and I was ready to get back out there and work. And I saw an ad for a job for a matchmaking company. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I love that. So I started to work for them, and I really loved what I did. But I found out as I got deeper into it that they weren't the best company in the world. They
Oh,
were one of the bad companies. It was high pressure sales tactics and like, but and they ended up closing shop. And then I just thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? I could do this on my own and do it a lot better than they did and love what I do. And that's what I did. I took it, I ran with it.
wow.
I've networked with matchmakers all over the world.
That's
So I launched my
amazing.
company January 2020. And we know what happened a couple months after that.
Oh my God, how did you survive through COVID?
It was tough, because I was just starting my company and nobody really knew what to do at the time, but
Mhm.
we pivoted, that's the word of COVID, I think, and we are offering Zoom dates and things like that, and just trying to still get people out there and get them socializing and things like that. So I did a couple like online speed dating events and things like that, and
Oh, wow, that's cool.
but it has
By
given me.
Zoom?
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
I partnered with a guy that does like cocktail kits, and he made cocktails, and we had a DJ, and it was a lot of fun. But
Oh my
in
gosh.
person is so much better. But we had to do that. I'm glad that we had that at
Yeah.
the time. I actually still recommend Zoom dates if you
Yeah.
are meeting someone online on the apps and things. I
Yeah.
think a Zoom date is perfectly fine to start off with because it doesn't cost anything. And you can gauge a little bit of psycho craziness from them and gauge, look at their background, see what they got going on. And you can do a lot of fun things on a Zoom date, you know? So I still do encourage people to do that. I hope that doesn't leave. But when I match someone with, I'm going to make sure that they're not psycho or they haven't been caught for it, because they are.
Now, Paula, what goes into creating finding that match for a potential client or for a client? What goes into the
Yeah.
process?
There's a lot that goes into it. So there's two sides to what I do. I have people that hire me. I'm somewhat of a recruiter. So people hire me and then I recruit for them. So I do it a lot of different ways. I have a free database. Anybody can come into my free database And then if they do come up as a match for a client, at that time, I do the vetting, I interview them and make sure that their intentions, as much as, you can't always do that 100%, but I really try to make sure that their intentions are that they want to get into a long-term committed relationship, whatever that looks like. That looks different to a lot of people. But so there's two sides to that.
Can I ask about the database?
Mm-hmm.
So does your database, they put in information and then it matches with somebody?
Well, I match them.
You match them.
I do.
Okay,
I go through my database and I can search say 45 to 55 or something like that. And then I'll go through them and I'll weed out the ones I don't think that are a good match. And then I'll look at the ones that I think that are a probable match and put them together. And then I also talk to my clients about it too. I show pictures. I don't know how people get away with not showing pictures. There are a lot of matchmakers still out there that don't.
Do you want to know what they asked me to do? After I think the 7th date that I was pissed off that this person, after it was 7 or 10 times, the first 10, let's say, I got really mad. And I said, why are you matching me with men that I have zero physical interest in? Zero. Not just a flicker. Gabby and I were talking about, married at first sight. They also take into physical attributes that people like. And they told me that they wanted me to send them 5 to 10 photographs of reasonable looking celebrities that I was interested in their look. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's not realistic.
No, it's weird. I was like, what? What do you mean by realistic? They go, oh, a celebrity that could actually be seen dating you. I was like, fuck you. Brad Pitt's my secret husband. Don't tell me that I couldn't be with someone like Brad Pitt. Okay. Let's just keep that straight.
Pictures are just one dimensional. They're just one part of the package. It's like putting a puzzle together to find matches for people, because you talk about religion and things like that. I would never match you with a minister or something like that. So I do ask a lot of questions about religion and lifestyle and things like that. And a lot of it doesn't necessarily have to do with what religion they are. It's the degree of religion. Do you want?
Yeah, I agree.
Fine if you want to go to church every Sunday and Wednesday and whatever, but if that's not you, I don't want to put someone with someone that's like that. But we all have separate interests. You're not going to have the same interests as everybody you meet. You don't want to.
Right.
But some of those things are very important.
Yes,
morality and where you want to be in life and what you want out of life and things like that. Do you want kids? Are you done having kids?
Yeah. That's I think super important. What do you think's the difference? Well, we all know what the difference is between going online dating and finding a matchmaker, but what do you think the best benefits are for a matchmaker?
Great question.
Well, it's nowadays it's so dangerous out there. I don't like to scare people too much, but it is dangerous. So, I do vet people. There's an extensive background check run. I check their social media, make sure all that adds up. I talk to them. There are questions you can ask them to get, to make sure that they're just not dating to date, that they're just not dating to hook up or ghost somebody. There's no ghosting going on here. We're all adults. We should be able to tell people, I'm sorry, you're just not it for me. So I try to encourage people to do that. And I think a lot of the differences too is, I think the apps have taken dating, they are good. They really, they're not all bad, but they've made dating sort of shallow. You've got like 1/10 of a second before you're going to swipe left or swipe right on someone's picture. Yeah. So, it's one dimensional. You've got a couple lines of somebody and then you've got their picture. And then, what is the percentage of times that's not even them, that they're
huge. Huge
or they're in a relationship. Apparently, from what I hear from other matchmakers or somebody, that 30% of the people are in relationships. I wouldn't doubt it if that was higher, actually.
It is huge.
COVID.
you want to hear something crazy? So I was dating. Okay, I'm of the thought that I'm going to date a couple of different people, until somebody wants to be we want to be in a committed relationship together. Okay. So I'm casually dating a couple of people about a year and a half ago. Okay. So I ask everybody, you are single, right? You're not married. How long you been divorced? You're not
Because
separated.
no one lies about any of that.
Right. And I'm thinking, they're being honest with me. And then I moved 6 months ago. And when I moved my bedroom furniture out, on the opposite side of the bed, on the floor, under the bed, was a wedding ring. And someone must have taken it off and dropped it. And I know who this. I think I know who this person is. I was only seeing 2 people at that time, and it wasn't like I was sleeping with both of them. I was starting to see one and sleeping with one. I was sleeping with the one who lost his ring, and I knew that just something was off, and I stopped seeing him. But here it is, a year later, and I have his wedding ring, and it has diamonds on it and these little crosses all around it.
I hope you sold it and got something for it.
I love her, Christine.
Yeah. I'm actually going to take it to a pawn shop and see what I can get for it.
Yeah.
He reached out to me not too long ago.
He never asked for the ring.
No.
Found my ring.
I asked him, I said, did you lose your wedding ring? He goes, huh? What? Huh? What? I was like, I think you lost your wedding ring. He goes, what are you talking about? I was like, whatever. Stop calling me. Crazy.
That sounds like, an abandoned piece of jewelry. So yeah, go to a pawn shop, girl. So, cause you need to come out and visit me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a trip to see Gabby. I'm gonna pawn it and get a matchmaker that actually works.
There
so
you
tell
go.
me, Paula, how does somebody find the right matchmaker?
Well, there's a few different ways you can, I would Google matchmaker in your area. And you want to find someone that you feel comfortable with most of all. And upon first meeting them and talking to them, you don't want to feel pressured. You don't want to be in this high pressure timeshare sales kind of thing. Get the heck out of there, because all they want to do is just sell you a package and that's it. You want someone, when you talk to them, that really wants to get to know you and say, hey, what have your problems been with dating? What do you feel that are your biggest challenges? What are you looking for? Who you are, and someone that really wants to get to know you and someone you feel comfortable with. Because when you go through the matchmaking process, because it is a process, not everyone's perfect, but we want to get you there.
Right.
So you want to be able to talk to that person and feel comfortable talking to that person, because feedback's crucial, and you want to ask them, are you going to talk to me after the dates and before dates about feedback? And are you going to coach me on the right way to conduct myself on a date, or what I should say in certain situations? Of course, we don't always have every answer to every question, but a lot of us have the same problems. So
there's like coaching, and it's not just like you have a one-time sit down meeting. I tell you, look, my ideal guy is, Jason Momoa, doctor, let's put doctor in there. No, never been married. No, just giving you like this almost unrealistic, because I know what ballpark I bat in. Okay. I know my range. Like, he's out of my league, and he's married. So fine. But it sounds like you really do not necessarily hold their hands, but really do guide them and coach, and almost like a therapist in a way, to kind of like find out what are your weaknesses in dating, what are you looking for, what are theirs, and kind of working through their own spiel with how their issues with dating at the end of the day.
Right.
I can speak, I promise.
Coaching's a huge part of it. Some of my clients, they haven't been out there in a while, or they're just fed up. They're like, it's just impossible. I'm never going to find anyone, so coaching's a big, big part of it. So I would, talk to them about that if they do offer that, if that's included. I also, that's included in what I do, but I also work with a lot of different coaches that I might refer my clients to also, because I want my coach to mirror my client. And I work with like some guys want to talk to a guy, and some women, there's some coaches that will coach people that have, widows and widowers and things like that, because their situations are a little bit different. So if they want to go a little bit deeper, I'll refer them to someone else. I also have a coach that's coming on my staff, and she's going to be in-house and doing some extra coaching with my clients too, which I'm so excited about that. But, and make sure they vet people if they're doing a background check, and ask them how they're finding the matches also. Who pays. Some matchmaking companies only take men as their clients, and then the women are free. Some matchmakers, I take either at this point. And then there's some people that'll just, the women pay. So there's different models to it. But the difference, a lot of about online dating that people don't know is that most of the big online apps they're owned by the same company. So they all pretty much have the same business model. Their business model is to keep you on there. They want to keep you on that app, and they want to keep getting your $50 or whatever it is a month. And they want to upgrade you, say, oh, you can have this if you pay $50 more a month or whatever, and just keep adding you on and just keeping you in the hamster wheel, I guess. I don't want to keep you in the hamster wheel. I only take on so many clients at a time. I want to get you out there. I want you in a relationship, and I want you to be happy, because my reputation is very important too, because I get a lot of referrals, and referrals are awesome. That really speaks highly of me and my business. So I can't do anything with this cat. She's nuts. But anyway, so
hey, Paula, I got a cat because of my dating life, and I'm a dog person. So don't even worry. I don't have the spritzer because she doesn't even care.
That is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
That was kind of amazing. Now, Paula, quick question.
So
now,
amazing.
Your database, are you mostly like local, or do you? Is it like a nationwide database? Do you connect people like in different cities, or is it just kind of more like you stay in your cities, like you're Virginia, right?
I have people come in from all over the place, but it's mostly in Virginia, DC, Northern Virginia, the DMV area. That's like just north of like DC. But I work with matchmakers all over the country and all over the world. So if I do have someone come in that's in a different area, some people are willing to date long distance. And, after COVID, a lot more people are willing to do that. So I will maybe work with another matchmaker to match them. And then we also share our databases too. It's not something that we can all look through, but I can go to my other matchmakers and say, hey, I got this guy, he's in California. Do you think you have someone that we can work together on? And I just recently worked with a matchmaker in California. I had a client who's a doctor, and she had a lady, and they got together. So, you never know. We had an East Coast, West Coast romance going on there. So we do help each other.
Are there any requirements to get into this database? Like, can just anyone put themselves in, or
They can, but it doesn't mean you're going to be matched or anything like that, because I've got 1,000 people in my database and I've got 20 clients. So if I do a search and they come up on a search, that's the time when I will go and I will research them. We'll do a background check, make sure the match is good for everyone. And I'll coach them on the other end too, because I want them to be successful. Wow. It's really just, trying to make you successful in your dating life and finding that person.
So when it comes to hiring a matchmaker, I don't know how to ask this question properly. how does one go about hiring one? Do they pay per date? Do they pay a matchmaker to find them? I mean, what's a reasonable price? I mean, I don't know. I just know I spent a lot of money up front, and here it is 5 years later, and I've had all my worst dates through that company, and until I bitched and moaned at them and said, "This is bullshit, what you put me through," that they said, "Oh, well, you're out of dates, and you had a certain amount of dates, and you can be in the database, and if we find somebody, we'll let you know." But that's BS. So how does, what's a reasonable, if people are afraid that a matchmaker is going to be too expensive, what do you say?
Well, cheap things are cheap and good things aren't cheap,
Okay.
It is a costly thing, but like you said, you've been spinning the wheels on the apps, paying your whatever, and it's gotten you nowhere. I want to take the stress out of it as much as I can for the other person and take a lot of the legwork out of it too, because you can make it your job being on those apps. So I'm actively searching for you, searching my database, networking. I have a huge, I do a lot of networking in the community. I take part in a lot of nonprofits and networking groups and things like that. So that's very important also, just to be out there, meeting people, although I'm limited, because of COVID. But anyway, so finding matches like that. But as far as business models, a lot of matchmakers have a different business model. Some of the bigger companies may not charge you a lot up front, like you said, but they'll say, okay, you're out of matches, pay me another $10,000 or whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to get it done. And I don't charge nearly as much as a lot of matchmakers do. There's matchmakers that start at $25,000 and they go up to like $100,000. But that's like people like Patty Stanger that has Millionaire Matchmaker. And she's actually in my, one of my connections and everything, that some of those famous matchmakers, because they really do matchmaking, but it's on a very, very high end.
Yeah.
But so I don't charge that much. My prices have went up. I started about $8,000 and I go up from there, depending on what services they want, how much personal attention, coaching, how hard they're going to be to match, and things like that.
Okay, I get that. That sounds good. I actually have a connection to Patty. I'm going to reach out to her and see if she wants to be on the show. I think she's so much fun. She said something from her show all the time. I was obsessed with the show that I use constantly, and I say, "Picker." My picker was off. Your picker is off. Our picker is off. Yeah, I love that. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
when you guys coach people, are you doing that in person? Are you doing it online? What's the biggest advice that you give somebody for coaching?
Well, the coaching part of it, a lot of it, it's done on the phone. We'll talk about the dates before or after the dates, or if they have any concern, I'm always here to talk to them. If they want to talk to them, I'll meet them for lunch if they're local. We can do a Zoom call, just whatever works for everyone at the time.
That's cool.
Now, also, here's a question for you as well, Paula. On average, I mean, is there like a kind of an average time frame of when, from the time you first meet your client to the time when you kind of have found that match for them? Is it like a month, 3 months, 6 months? I mean, how does that work?
I don't want to take on a client that I don't feel I have any matches for in the beginning. I have to be very choosy about who I take. A lot of people, I'll say, no, I can't take you on as a client.
Wow.
Because I don't want to take somebody's money and not be able to help them. So I make sure that I do have some matches for them. And you have to make sure that they're realistic and they're right in their head about, wants and needs. There's so many different things, and a lot of the things that people think that they need aren't necessarily what they need. With guys, they're very visual. Guys want younger women. They want the skinny younger woman, model looking, and I don't tell, this is just here, but it's like, dude, have you looked at yourself lately? I don't think I'm going to find you a 30-year-old hot model for you. I don't do that. You might want to go to sugardaddy.com or something like that. And, and I have to feel that I'm going to be able to work with them too. That they're going to listen to the feedback and to my advice, and we're going to have a good working relationship. And of course, it doesn't always work that way. I've actually fired clients before because they put in their profile and then they changed their mind. They're like, oh no, I don't think so. I'm like, oh, you can't change that right now.
What kind of things do they change?
Oh, maybe a guy might change the age or the distance. We have to determine, how far out you want to go to date. Some people will date long distance. Other people don't want to, but we have to have at least some sort of radius because I'm not in New York City. If we were in New York City, you probably could date a little closer because there's tons of people on top of each other. But, we got to have a couple hour radius at least. We can't, I had a lady once that said she'd go a couple hours out and then she's like, well, I don't really want to go more than 20 minutes from my house. I'm like,
good luck.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I did actually match her though. That ended up working out, but
nice.
Things like that.
So how often do you, I don't know, percentage or often, I don't know how to phrase this. Do you have a lot of success of people being long-term relationships or married?
I don't have any marriages quite yet. I think COVID's gotten in the way of that. But I've got some really good relationships I'm so excited about. I've got a couple of them, a widow and a widower. They just texted me on before Christmas. They're like, Merry Christmas. Thank you for making our Christmas so much better. We just feel like teenagers again. And we're just having the greatest time. And that's the best thing. Those are the best things to hear, when I hear the good things. But of course, it's not all hearts and roses. Things will happen. Sometimes people just get nervous on a date and they don't mean to act awkward or talk over someone. So, you got to get those nerves under control. And that's what I try to help with people that I feel that, they do have a little bit of issue of, talking over someone because you want to go on a date to learn about that person and listen to them. Listen.
Yeah. Listen, men have a lot of hard time hearing us sometimes.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, they
asking the right questions too when you go on a date, like asking open-ended questions. You can ask somebody like, just for instance, like, what's your favorite memory? And that invokes happiness in someone. That makes someone happy right away and they're excited to tell you about that. So they start to tell you about that. And a lot of times you'll have something in common with that person and it'll get the conversation going into something else. And you feel, you just feel lighthearted and happy and, and just asking, just don't ask, yes and no questions on a date.
What's your thoughts on someone just doing the Starbucks date, the coffee shop date?
I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of pressure. You just go to Starbucks or whatever, have a cup of coffee and, because chemistry, that's a tricky thing. I always like to say I haven't gotten my magic wand in the mail yet. I can't make chemistry happen for somebody, but we can really try. So, you can gauge some chemistry that way without having to spend a lot of time and, getting all fancy and everything like that and stressing yourself out.
I'm not a fan of the coffee dates because part of me feels like it's someone telling me that they're not going to ever be invested. It doesn't matter. They're just going through the motions. They meet for half hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and then off we go. And nothing has ever come of a coffee date for me. For me,
it feels like a straight interview. Like you sit down, you have your coffee, and you're like, all right, now perform.
Well, that's where the coaching comes in. I try to make it so they don't make it like a job interview because they already know a lot about the person. So they don't have to ask those questions. Where did you go to school? All those boring questions. I already get all that stuff out of the way for them.
I like to do the meet me at the beach and let's go for a walk. Let's, pick a destination and go bike riding, or, some kind of activity, maybe go to an art gallery or a museum. I like those kind of dates, the interactive, something that, if he's funny, I can touch his arm and say, oh my God, you're so funny.
Oh my God, Christine.
Well, physical touch is huge. And that tells a man that it's okay to be more open. If you're not touching somebody when you're attracted to them, to me, I think that's a sign that you're not interested, and you don't have to open up to me.
On the first date?
Oh, touching, like touch his arm, touch his hand, put your hand on his shoulder. Absolutely. I find, so I do these crazy tests all the time. One of them is touching. And if I don't touch somebody at all, he will not open up to me at all. If I touch his arm or go through a doorway and touch him like on his upper arm to say thank you, and the minute I touch him, right there, he will open up. He'll start talking to me. He'll be more likely to lean in. I tend to find that. What do you think, Paula?
I think that's true. That's reading someone's body language and clues from their body. And that is a good way to flirt with someone without, going overboard, just a light touch on the hand and things like that. Although I had a date go out, my guy, and he went out with a girl that I had set him up with, and she kept hitting him on the date.
You.
I mean, hitting him, and I'm like, whoa, what's up with that?
That's called assault, ladies and gentlemen.
Pretty much.
There can be some bad stories here and there too, but
you obviously haven't watched our show.
We are typically talking about crazy
bad.
My Vegas date was the one today. Yeah, that's terrible.
That's terrible. I can't believe he made you pay for everything and then invoiced you.
He invoiced me and tried to make it seem as if he was the one to pay for everything, something was off. And then when I told him that I didn't want to see him anymore, I started to tell him by phone, and he's like, wait, let's get together. He lured me with the I have money for you. Okay. I have money to pay you back.
Oh, so he admitted that he owed you money.
Oh, he knew he owed me money. So he came in and we sat down, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I had cash for you and I forgot it. And I was
of course he did. Yeah, it's in my bank account.
Fuck you, dude. So
he's come back to my apartment and I'll give you my money, give you your money.
Right. So I said to him, unfortunately, this isn't going to work. You're actually a decent guy. I said, I started to see something real here until you pulled some fast, crazy shit. And he actually said, oh, okay, I get it. We're not right for each other, but can we have sex until you find somebody?
Wow. He's got some big balls.
Or at least he'd like to think he does.
He thought he had some big balls. He did not.
He sounds like a narcissist.
You know what? I tend to attract narcissism quite a bit. I'm an empath, and I have this really amazing guy that I found on TikTok who teaches people about narcissism and teaches them how to not attract them, to be the person that doesn't attract that. And I actually should connect the two of you, Paula. He's pretty great. Actually, Paula, by the way, on our matchmaking, not matchmaking, but dating group for WhatsApp, someone was looking for a matchmaker in DC, and I referred you to them today.
Oh, thank you. Tell them to put your name down, and I'll send you something.
You know what? I wanted to tell you that if you are interested in expanding into Los Angeles, you and I should talk, because I actually privately did a whole bunch of matchmaking in the past,
Oh,
and
really?
a couple of people. It wasn't professional. It was, I knew the minute I started talking to somebody, somebody else would pop into my head, and then when I would talk to that somebody else, that other person would pop into my head, and I'd say, you know what? Can I connect the two of you? And I've actually matched, I think, 4 people, and 2 out of those 4 are married with kids.
Wow.
And so I always thought, oh, I'd love to be a matchmaker. It might be something to think about if you want to come to LA. I mean, like, extend into LA and have somebody here. I would be happy to matchmake.
Yeah, I would talk to you about that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
There are a lot of matchmakers out where you are. I know quite a few out there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are pretty high end, you know, because you guys are out, you know, in the land of Hollywood and everything out there.
Well, I'm in Wisconsin, so
Oh, are
we're
you?
not that bougie.
I'm from Michigan.
She's from LA.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I'm originally from Michigan.
Oh my gosh. No.
It's cold up there in Wisconsin. Jeez.
Yeah, it's gonna snow on Saturday.
I just don't know what to do with my dating life anymore. I seriously don't.
I know it's tough. But, you know, just getting yourself in the right headspace and not being desperate is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Especially for women and men too, because women can see that too, and they're turned off by that by men. You know, when men are desperate, you know, you can just see that a mile away. You know, either somebody's going to be turned off from it, or they're going to take advantage of you. That's where the narcissists come in, and they're like all over you. You know, oh, she's desperate. You know, so I can feed her ego and then just mess her up in the end.
Yeah, I think that, you know what, here, what's so crazy is that I'm a little obsessed with TikTok. I watch a lot of videos just because people are so damn funny, and I find it quite entertaining. I saw yesterday this really cute guy from Northern California has this horse ranch, and he's on TikTok. Every video is, I need a wife. I'm looking for my wife. And I was like, I think I need to go live on a horse ranch again.
Yeah. Get some cowboys. You guys got the real.
I don't know if you noticed, I rolled my eyes profusely.
I saw Gabby roll her eyes, bitch.
Well, you know, ever since that what is it, Yellowstone show came out, I've got women saying, I want like a guy like this. You know, like
they don't usually look like that.
I grew up in Wyoming.
I tried the sexy farmer. I'm like, I live in Wisconsin. Let me try that sexy farmer. They're not so sexy, and they smell, and they don't get cute. They don't like shower and get cute and everything like that. They come in with like blood on their clothes and shit. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I am from LA originally, so that does not fly.
Well, I'm from Wyoming. I grew up on horses. I was herding cattle and raising chickens, and I can do all that. I just didn't want to stay in Wyoming and grow old and die on a ranch in Wyoming. I just couldn't do it. And now that I've been to LA, I kind of see the benefits of being back, but just not in Wyoming. I'm tired of the rat race,
I'm trying to get her here, but she won't come here.
I know.
Yeah. You get
what
a lot
of do?
It's too cold up there.
It is super cold up there.
But you dress for it. I'm learning how to dress for it. Let me just rephrase. I do I wouldn't move back to LA. I'm very happy in the Midwest. So
I know she's turned into a Midwest girl.
Sort of. I just drink like them now.
Well, anybody who's interested in learning more about matchmaking and wants to find the right matchmaker, you are welcome to reach out to Paula. Check out her website. It's bloommatchmaking.com. Paula, you're the shit, girl. I love you.
I'd be happy to refer them to a matchmaker that's in their area if I can't help them, or put them on the right path to find the right person for them.
I love that. Thank you for being here today. You've given us some real insightful information, and hopefully people who are tired of the online dating thing, or who are just perplexed at where to go, can turn and go, you know what, wait a minute, I heard on that bullshit show that there's this great matchmaker, and hopefully we can drive people towards you. And if you want to talk about doing some stuff in LA, you reach out to me, girl. I'd love to work with you. So
Sure.
thank you for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you.
This was so much fun, Gabby and Christine. Thanks for having me, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Gabby, not much happened. A lot happened with me this week for dating. They all reach out after Christmas and before New Year, and then all magically have their fucking plans and don't invite me. And I'm a little irritated and annoyed. How's your week? We have like 10 more seconds. Did you have a crazy week?
No, I mean, busy week at work.
No dating stuff?
It's learning about, dropping dead weight, about people that are not men that, you've gone on dates with, that are just, not, clean your hands, wash your hands, done, on to the next kind of. But you know what? I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm looking forward to, it's finding my person, just like you want to find your person.
We are. We're going to find our people.
Damn.
I know. I'm manifesting like a crazy bitch.
I'm trying, man.
I know.
One bottle of wine at a time.
That's right. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us today. We always appreciate you spending time with us. Hopefully we've educated you, entertained you, made you laugh. That's our goal. Come back and see us next week, and we will still be here, and hopefully you can find your person too. And until then, keep it real.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.